Chapter 1. Whenever Poppy Conwell glanced in the mirror, she saw a girl standing behind her. There were plenty of other girls at Tuesday Hope, the group home where Poppy had lived since age 6. But the girl wasn't like the other girls. Poppy was pretty sure she was dead. In the mirror, the girl always appeared, smiling, hazel eyes glittering with playful kindness, long dark hair slightly sharply across her forehead. She always wore the same white pinfold over a dark dress, with large pockets that grabbed near her hips and seemed filled with mystery. Poppy knew seeing the girl was odd. Was she a ghost? An angel? Once? Poppy had worked it up to the courage to ask her bunkmate Ashley if it was normal for girls to appear behind you in mirrors, girls who couldn't speak, girls who weren't actually in the room with you when you turned around. Ashley laughed it so hard. Poppy had forced herself to giggle too, pretending it was all a joke. She thought she'll be able to keep the secret, but Ashley didn't like keeping secrets. Tales of Poppy's vision spread through the dormitory. Like smoke, and Poppy acquired an unfortunate nickname, Crazy Poppy. For a while, she tried to argue, hoping that she could convince the others that the girl was real. It only made the teasing worse. Poppy started to believe that she was actually crazy. But whenever things got really bad, when the other girls of Tuesday Hope barged her ruthlessly, the girl was Poppy's special comfort, a friend who made her less lonely, less afraid. Sometimes when a mirror caught her eye, Poppy would find the girl peering back at her. The girl would remove an item from one of the gray pockets of her smock and then hold it up as if to make Poppy smile. The next morning, Poppy would discover the item tucked under her pillow. The first time, it had been a thin wire twisted into a shape of a finch. Then came pressed flowers out of print comic strips, binded in from yellow newspaper, a paintbrush with a dried green paint in its tip. Old things, surprising things, strange things. At first, Poppy couldn't believe it was happening, but the objects were there. She could hold them in her hand, and that meant they were real. Unexplainable, but real. Poppy treasured these items, tucking them inside a book she held out to keep from them secret. But Ashley took peculiar pleasure in raiding Poppy's belongings, passing the girl's treasures to the others, who would tear and sometimes destroy them. On those nights, Poppy had nightmares of terrible fires and watched it screaming as her bunkmates burned around her. The worst part was that in those dreams, Poppy was always the one to lit the flames. In real life, Poppy didn't know how to fight back, until the day Ashley got her hands on a deciphered charcoal sketch of 5 kids in masks and uniforms, all lined up against a stone wall. Poppy had hidden that sketch in a spare place between the pages of a book she loved, a book she knew Ashley would never, ever read. But Poppy was a better snoop Ashley was a better snoop than Poppy had imagined. Poppy found her standing beside their bunks, the drawing held ruthlessly in her hands. "Is this from your friend?" Ashley asked, with a thin, flat smile. She teased her hand gently on the sketch. Something inside Poppy broke. Before she could stop herself, she reached it for Ashley's favorite possession, an ultimate mirror on their shattered nightstand, and swung it. There was a smash. A scream. Ashley clutched her hand into a fist, but the sketch had already slipped from her hand. Miraculously, it landed unharmed on Poppy's bed. Poppy just watched it as Ashley howled for help. Poppy had never been sent to Miss Tate's office before. Its cold metal cabinets in big oak desk had always imitated Poppy when she walked past it. Now she was seated in front of the desk, in the chair of troublemakers. The secretary told her, in no concern terms, to touch a ding and to wait there until Miss Tate had checked it on Ashley. Poppy knew she would listen. She was in enough trouble already, but her stomach was clinging with so much anger that it burned her usual misdeeds away. For once, she didn't hesitate to take the chance she always dreamed about. As soon as the office door closed behind her, Poppy was out of the chair and searching the cabinets for her own file. If she was already in big trouble, why not get in a little more? The room smelled too sweet, as if there was bubble gum stuck underneath every piece of furniture. Sunlight streamed in through the tall window, illuminating a dust mold storm that swirled around Poppy as she searched it. The filing cabinet stood against the far wall. Poppy found the correct dresser, removed her folder, and placed it on Miss Tate's desk. Pine drew the material. A vessel of disappointment fell on Poppy. There were no report cards and medical records, pictures she printed when she was... there were report cards and medical records, pictures she had painted when she was much younger. But not a single thing from before she arrived at the group home. She wanted to find out about her parents, but as far as the fire was concerned, her parents had never existed. Poppy had come from nowhere. This was highly unusual, and then it got more unusual. Near the back of the folder, Poppy found a sealed envelope with her name on it. She turned it over again and again, almost daisy with excitement. In the upper left corner, written in a pen by a decipherable hand, were the words Luxburg House, Hand Scabbled Road, Greencliff, and Y. The postcard was smudged, so Poppy couldn't read the date it was sent. A letter? The anger flooded her again. Why had Miss Tate never given it to her? Poppy slid her fingernail carefully under the flap. Inside rested a slip of salmon-colored solitary with intricate floral design linking every edge. It was one of the most beautiful objects she had ever seen. There was a small photograph of a luxurious country mansion tucked in the envelope. Placing that aside, she began to read. My dearest niece, oh, what a relief to have finally found you. We have no idea what the family has been through, though I'm sure it is nothing compared to the life you have been forced to lead, poor thing. You may call me grand-aunt Daffodilla. I live on a grand estate in the Houston Valley, with more room than I know what to do with. It would be such an honor if you would consider coming to stay with me. I will provide the best schooling, cruiser, and clothing, all the comforts that any girl could ever wish for. Though I'm sure you understand that those things will be worthless without the loving household that will form the foundation of your new life here at Luxembourg. The grounds should provide an idea of what you're in for. I will come down to Tuesday Hope to collect you if it weren't for my health. But please don't let me know that you've received this letter, and I shall arrange for your immediate travel from the city. We've so much to discuss. You're truly in love, Daffodilla Luxembourg. Poppy closed her eyes as chills blushed her skin, and her eyes flooded with tears. There was a better than any treasure the girl has ever given her. It was like something out of a fairy tale, and not something that could happen to a girl like her. Family, a happy ending. Somewhere in the office behind her, the floor creaked. Poppy wrapped it around to find the director standing just inside the doorway. And just what do you think you're doing, Miss Conwell? Miss Tate glanced over the folder lying on her desk, as well as the envelope in Poppy's hands. I want to ask you about my file, said Poppy, trying to hide the trembling in her voice. The file is not meant to seen by you, said Miss Tate, chilled in her best rules are rules voice. Poppy's face burned. I found this. She held up the envelope. A letter addressed to me. She made herself to look at Miss Tate in the eyes. Why will you hide it from me? Miss Tate's expression shifted from anger to confusion. I will never. Let me see that. Poppy handed it over reluctantly. She watched it as Miss Tate scanned the writing. Poppy, I have never seen this before. I swear. I have family, said Poppy. Let's not jump to conclusions. My grand-aunt Daffodilla knows all about me, Poppy said. Poppy's voice was small but instant. Miss Tate sighed, looking like she'd seen this sort of thing before. The return address is vague. There's no phone number, no email. How do you expect me to even get in touch with her? I don't, Poppy thought. I'll figure it out myself. At the look on Poppy's face, Miss Tate rounded the desk and sat down in front of her computer. Poppy watched it, barely daring to breathe. As the director searched the internet for evidence of this Luxembourg house, I'm not getting much. Just a dose or so real estate listening from all around the country, and I can't find a thing about a Daffodilla Luxembourg. Poppy's chest collapsed on her. So that's it. I know the girls have not been kind to you lately, said Miss Tate, leaned back in her chair and gave Poppy an apologetic look. I think you're going to have to accept that this was a joke. And in the mature time, you still have your actions to account for. What you did to Ashley is inextinguishable. Poppy was very much in trouble. Later that night, when Poppy approached the mirror over the sink in the bathroom, the girl was not there. This had never happened before. Only after had Poppy slipped her beneath her sheets, watching the reflection glow of a car headlights drift across the ceiling, listening to the wheezing of Ashley on the lower bunk. Did she make the connection? Maybe now that I have the possibility of Luke's workhouse and Great Aunt Delilah, I don't need the girl anymore. Poppy couldn't have been more wrong. End of chapter 1.